The average Democrat and the average American does not like the health insurance company. They hate Aetna and Cigna and United Healthcare.
So if you caught any of the coverage of MSNBC's November Democratic debate, it was horrible. I mean, most of what I saw was a typical analysis of, oh, these candidates have to go to the center. They have to be moderate, just completely ignoring 2016, Hillary Clinton losing to Trump, ignoring what led to that, ignoring all of that, ignoring the polling on the issues where it shows the majority of Americans are with Bernie Sanders on the issues. They just continue to ignore all this information, ignore the fact that Bernie won the states that Hillary lost to Trump in 2016. They ignore all of this to continue to pretend that, oh, you have to get a centrist, moderate Democratic candidate to defeat Trump. Well, luckily, there was at least 7 minutes on MSNBC last night after this debate that was actually dedicated to some reality. So Michael Moore was on where he praised Bernie Sanders and slammed Joe Biden. I have a few clips to show you here. For this first one deals with something Bernie said at the debate that hasn't been said before.
There was so much abuse caused by this Bush war. And I think that anybody who will stand up and speak out against it, and especially Bernie, I mean, this is what we've seen with Bernie through the years. He's always the first to say it, whether it's about Medicare for all or raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour or whatever. And tonight, he said something that I don't think I've ever heard at a Democratic debate, let alone obviously not a Republican. He said that the Palestinians were human beings. He said that we cannot support Israel and be against the Palestinian people. We're being hypocritical if we do that. We support Israel, but that means we have to support the people who are the Palestinians. That got a huge applause.
All right, so as Michael Moore points out there, that was a great moment. I am going to have a more of a breakdown of last night's debate in a different video, so I will show that clip in addition to other clips. But so this was a great moment from Bernie, saying that Palestinians are human beings. They must be, we must look at this issue of Israel-Palestine and look at it with a clear head, understanding that there's human beings here on both sides. But I mean, think of how low the bar is, like where acknowledging the humanity of people that are living in an open air prison in Gaza, acknowledging their humanity is setting a huge precedent. I mean, it's really disgusting that Bernie is the first to say this on stage. And this isn't just a normal, already a common knowledge among the Democratic Party. It's insane to me. But let's get to the next clip here where Michael Moore talks about moderates and if that really is the best way to defeat Trump.
Job one for the election next year is to make sure that we not only get rid of Trump or Trump's replacement, but we get rid of that which gave us Trump. That's really what the real issue should be. When you guys were talking about how we have to be more moderate or move to the center, that's how we're going to win next year. See, to me, I think moving to the center, I am the center. I am the mainstream now of the Democratic Party. The majority of Americans agree with me and Bernie on all the issues, whether it's health care for all, whether it's climate change, minimum wage, mass incarceration, but down the whole list. The American people have moved left.
So again, Michael Moore spitting truth, things that are, common knowledge to people that actually pay attention to these issues. But if you're only watching cable news, you are living in a different world. I mean, you really are. Like, just think to yourself, why isn't it commonly discussed on cable news that, hey, Hillary, the ultimate moderate in 2016, she lost to Trump? Does it really make sense to continue to advocate for moderate Democratic candidates this time around when the ultimate moderate lost last time? Like, it's a combination of these people living in a bubble. It's a combination of their worldview, of them being largely millionaires who want to protect their own money. They have, their greed wants them to keep taxes the way they are. They love the Trump tax cuts. I mean, it's partly that, but I mean, they must convince themselves that they're right. I don't know how you can be on television every single day spewing BS about the idea that we should, put up a moderate when All the data shows you otherwise. Every single piece of information shows you that no, that is actually the way to lose. That's how Democrats continue to lose over the 8 years of Obama. That's how Hillary Clinton lost. That's what led to Trump. I mean, the states Hillary lost to Trump in 2016 that Bernie won in the primary. I mean, all of this, these are obvious points. Like, I'm not going deep here. This is just surface level obvious crap, but it's rarely ever discussed on cable news. In addition to what Michael Moore brought up on the polling on these issues, you look at polling on issues like money in politics, raising the minimum wage, tackling climate change, taxing Wall Street to cancel student debt, and Medicare for all especially. All of these issues, the American people are with Bernie Sanders, not just Democratic voters. The American people as a whole are with Bernie Sanders. So just to completely ignore all of this, to continue to ignore all of this, I mean, their coverage, I feel bad for, your parents or grandparents who watch this crap, because it is so rare for them to have a moment of clarity where they actually have somebody on like Michael Moore who gives them the actual facts. But this is so incredibly rare. If your parents or grandparents, or maybe yourself, if you watch cable news on a consistent basis, you will be living in a world, you will have a worldview that is not based in reality. It is completely manufactured by the millionaires on TV, by these corporate media companies that want you to keep the status quo because the status quo is benefiting them. Now, let's get to the last clip here, which is my favorite. This is fantastic. Michael Moore completely shuts down Joe Biden's healthcare lie. In addition to, by the way, this is a same lie that Pete Buttigieg is also touting out there. So Michael Moore shuts this down and discusses why Medicare for all is the answer.
So the center is now more of these sorts of things. This is what we believe. So when you say that, like, for instance, with Joe Biden said tonight, 160 million Americans want to keep their private insurance. Says who? Are you actually talking to people about this? They want the assurance that whatever we have with the new Medicare for All is essentially just a transfer from what they have with their good union healthcare. It's going to be that, but it's going to be better for you, and you're not going to have copays and deductibles. Fine. But what the average Democrat and the average American does not like the health insurance company. They hate Aetna and Cigna and United Healthcare. These are people that they're fighting with to get them to pay a bill that they won't pay. The healthcare industry has caused more pain and harm and anxiety for the American people than practically any other industry. And we should never side with candidates that are going to say we're going to keep this private profit-making thing going. That's not where the American people are at. They are fed up with this. And I'll tell you, I got an earful of it back home in Flint last month when General Motors was on strike.
Yep.
What did the CEO of GM do on the third day of the strike? She took away their health care. She shut it down. They couldn't believe it. Nobody, I come from a GM family. GM, your health care, UAW employee,
sure,
it's everything, medical, dental, eye care. You even get a free lawyer if you need one. It's the best. And on the third day, they saw the thing that they thought they'd have forever could be taken away by the company like that. And that's what people need to know, that we can never allow our health insurance to be in the hands of a private profit-making company where they can end you tomorrow. Anybody watching the show right now, your boss could wake up in the morning and go, you know what, Steve, it just cost us too much money here to have this health insurance for the employees. We got to cut it back. We got to raise the deductible. They can do this just like that. That should be illegal. It's a human right. And we need to be like every other industrialized country that has this.
This was a great moment of clarity on cable news. Again, this is so incredibly rare. I'm surprised they even had Michael Moore on since he's endorsed Bernie Sanders. I mean, he just goes right at it here. Even if you have fantastic health insurance through your employer, like GM workers have or had, they can take it away at any moment. You go on strike, they don't like it, they take your health care away. It's gone. That doesn't happen under a Medicare for all system. So, look, if you haven't seen me before, I live in Canada. I live under a single payer system. It's fantastic. The idea that you are continuing, that anybody, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, anybody, is continuing to defend a for-profit healthcare system where these private companies make money off of sick people, how do you defend this just based on the merits of that alone? separate from all the benefits of Medicare for all. How do you defend a for-profit healthcare system? It's absurd. So you have to move to a Medicare for all system where you're guaranteed healthcare free at the point of use. No, but who loves private insurance companies? We still have private insurance in Canada through like auto insurance, or if you want like dental care, our dental care is not covered here. I think it should be. So our healthcare should expand to cover that. But if you have, private insurance in other areas, auto insurance, who loves their auto insurance company? What are you talking about? Who loves insurance companies? The whole point is they make money off of you. I mean, in a single payer system, one of the biggest benefits is that you don't think about it. So I've had surgery. I've gone to the doctor countless times. I only ever think about healthcare when I'm going to the doctor, when I got surgery. That's the only time I ever think about healthcare. I walk in, I show my health card, I see my doctor, I leave. I make same day appointments. I wake up, I don't feel well. I make a same day appointment with my doctor. See my doctor later in the day, go home, that's it. Or if my doctor's not available, go into any walk-in clinic. Again, it is a single payer system. We're all in the same plan. I can go to any walk-in clinic, see any doctor that same day, walk out, get a prescription, whatever. So there is no, if you have only lived in America, have only lived under this for-profit healthcare system, you really have no idea what you're missing. It's hard for me to even really explain it because I don't think about healthcare unless I need it. So all the benefits of a single payer system are almost lost on me because I take them for granted. When it comes to my career, like this is kind of in relation to the GM thing. I've lost my job multiple times. I always had healthcare because healthcare is guaranteed to me at the federal level. So my healthcare has never been tied to my employer. I lose my job, I still have healthcare. I started this business, I have healthcare. If I want to hire an employee, they have healthcare not because I'm giving them healthcare, but because they already have healthcare guaranteed to them through the system, through the single payer system. So there are just countless benefits. I lose track of the benefits because there are so many benefits compared to the American system. Michael Moore here, I think, really makes a great point. And we should also, by the way, thank GM for being the idiots that they were for taking away healthcare from their union employees, because it shows you how this is all just, it can evaporate at any time. Your employer can take away your healthcare at any time because it's under their control. They control you. Think of how many people stay in their job, not because they enjoy what they do, but because they have great health insurance through their employer. This is why private companies, part of the reason why private companies are fighting Medicare for all. Large private companies are fighting Medicare for all. Because if all of a sudden healthcare is now guaranteed to them, that removes a benefit that they were giving their employer that kept many of their employees in their company. Now maybe they actually, under a Medicare for all system, now maybe they actually have to improve their work environment. Maybe they now actually have to raise wages because healthcare is no longer a reason people are staying with that company. So I could go on and on and on. I mean, it's really, if you want to ask me a question about healthcare, join one of my live streams. I live stream every week, Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. Join a live stream, send a super chat in, ask me about healthcare. I'll talk about it because my experience has been almost completely positive. Again, the only aspects of our healthcare that I don't like is that it doesn't go far enough. So pharmacare should be universal. Dental care should be universal. We don't have that in our single payer system. We can have that. There are parties in our country fighting for that, but we don't have that guaranteed right now. Bernie's Medicare for All plan covers dental. So it already goes farther. The Bernie Medicare for All plan goes farther than what Canadians currently have in our single payer system. There is no fighting any of this. These are the facts. This is what healthcare should actually be, and I'm so glad that MSNBC at least had a few minutes on air where there was a reality check on what Americans actually want and what these candidates should really be fighting for.